welcome back to another BRUNCH, your Sunday rendezvous with the hockey coach, Gros Coach Franchise avec les for the beautiful country of Thailand on a great Sunday, March 26, 2023. And we have the co-host back in the house directly from Ottawa. Mr. Marko Larrabee is with us this morning.
Hey, Coach. Live this morning, too. A little difference. Usually I have my brunch after we record the show, but this time it's a little bit different. You can hear my dog in the background barking, so I apologize. But yeah, it's fun to go live. Looking forward to kind of connecting with everyone. And it was a fun week, very exciting week of hockey for the Habs.
Definitely, we have a lot of conversation to talk about. Like you said, we are live streaming right now. This not happened. I think it's the second time we do this since episode number 27. Just give you an idea where we're at. Usually we do a set premiere so the people can chat live as the time is recording the show. So tonight, this morning, we'll have a lot of, open up some kind of conversation they can do on the chat, and they have some kind of question they can do. But that will be really interesting to have everybody here. Of course, we want to ask people. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like. If you don't mind, that'd be great. That'd be fun to have all the likes. So that's what we have, Mr. Marko. Anything you want to add before we move on to the warm-up?
No, I think let's jump right in, Coach. We're going to have some questions. It's going to be awesome. Let's get warmed up. Let's do
Here we go. This is the warm-up at BRUNCH. But before we start, Mr. Marko, we want to welcome everybody. We have William McClary knock the door. Welcome aboard, Mr. William. Stu Pilasso is in the house, following by Claude Richard, your neighbor. Claude demeure Ottawa. Mr. Marko. So we have him. We have Arrowhead News and Rumor Report is in the house. Welcome aboard. Gary, the Roadrunner Cournoyer, knocked the door. Thanks so much to be with us this morning. The deal or no deal, but we have the real deal. That's the most important things, Mr. Marko. We got him with a little bit Buffalo Sabres and the chat. We have Alexandre Maillard dans la belle région de Montréal et de retour avec nous. Too much snow this morning in Quebec for what he said. And RJ Calabro is in the house directly from New Jersey. Welcome aboard, Mr. RJ Calabro. By the way, I want to mention to you, we are right now in Thailand, Mr. Marko. This is the hottest time I've ever been here. Like, it's hot, like in French, a canicule. And canicule
really
in French, like we have like over like right now we have over like 40 Celsius. Like,
oh man,
I know.
I don't. I'm a large mammal, so I don't really thrive in the heat, especially humid weather. Here, it's like really slushy. It's like wet and it's kind of like really slushy weather. But I'm not sure which one is better, Coach. To be honest, I think I'll take the slush.
It's hot. I know it's hot about that. Mr. Renault is in the house. Welcome aboard. We're going to give you that answer the next couple of minutes. Renault, so stay tuned, guys. Don't forget to click on the like. If you don't mind, that'd be awesome. Like we do at the beginning of the app BRUNCH, we do a little bit the review of what happened during the week, and then we get asked everybody the stood out players, and that's what we got. But Tampa Bay, Montreal, after they lost in Tampa Bay last Saturday, 9 days ago. They again Tampa Bay Lightning. They come back home again them Tuesday, and they won by the score 3-2. Then the Boston Bruins, they play a pretty good game at the Diddy Garden, and they lost by the score 4-2. And then yesterday, this is maybe the more exciting game of the year for the Montreal Canadiens. They get the 8th and the net behind Hutchinson and Muskokin, and we have a hat trick by the RHP. There's be the reason why we put him, how much money he can make him next year. He's going to be a RFA, so it'll be interesting. We have a kind of conversation. We have other conversation going to bring on this show, but first of all, tell us a bit more your weekly report about the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, Coach, I felt that the boys played a really solid week. Like, all three of these games, I think it's one of the better weeks that they had in terms of just overall team play, right? Like, so they lost that game. So I know it's not in this week, but last Saturday they lost against Tampa. They were in that game. They could have easily won that game, I think. This game in Tampa, I think Tampa fans should be a little bit concerned what's going on in Tampa, but really solid game there. And Boston was probably the more frustrating game because we were talking about this in the chat while you were doing the play-by-play. I think it was 3-1 for Boston. And it didn't feel like they should be winning, right? Like it just didn't feel like Boston was playing that well, but that's the sign of a good team, right? Like they always seem to find a way to pull out victories right now. If I was Boston, I'd be a little bit concerned that you're using all of your horseshoes in your bum this early in the regular season. You know, like it seems like they get all the breaks right now. But I really like the way that Montreal played in that game. Of course, there was the incident with Mike Hoffman getting belted in the face. Did you see the video? That like he doesn't go
Yeah.
online very much, but I don't blame him for being upset at that one. I guess he got 2 games for cross-checking somebody in the back of the head 2 years ago, and so a bit of a questionable call there by player health and safety. But again, Boston game was very solid. I felt they were in that game. It's just Boston is just kind of like a machine right now, and they just know how to win. But I felt they were right there. And then Columbus, my God, Yorni Korpisalo, what a terrible season that guy's having. I feel like I almost feel bad for him. Like he's a pretty promising young goaltender, and I think he still has potential, but wow, is he struggling? Like I could tell within the first couple minutes it was going to be one of those nights that, you know, somebody like Gallagher finally was going to score. You saw Drouin hit a post as well too. So lots of entertaining game. You know, I think 8-2 is not a great representation. Like they played really well, but you know, Korpisalo was pretty weak. So there's maybe 3 goals there that were pretty iffy. Like the Gallagher goal went right through him and things like that. But obviously the score of the game by far.
They have a couple
was,
of good goals, like the tic-tac-toe.
oh yeah.
Then Alex Belzil scored a good goal, whatever he hit the defenseman, but he have a great pass about that. Just had a great shot, by the way, about him. Of course, the 8 goal. Of course, it's Columbus. At the end of the day, back-to-back game came late in the morning. All the excuse he can put. But I think for me, with a season like Montreal has, I think it's good to have a game like that, just so the morale of the team to finish the rest of the year, because right now they don't really play for anything at the end of the day, right? It does just like no matter. So they have those kind of game. I think it's fun for the enthusiasts inside the team, I think, at the end of the day.
For sure. Yeah, and like RHP just, you know, three goals, but also all different kind of goals too, right? Like, so there's one where he's grinding in front of the net, gets the rebound, pots it in. Really nice one where that tic-tac-toe play with Suzuki and Hoffman, where he comes in and, you know, roofs one in the top corner, like on Korpisalo, and then there's the kind of redirection on the power play. So what I like is, you know, he scored a hat trick, but all 3 of the goals were completely different, and it shows kind of his versatility and his ability to read different situations in games, right? So it was a good week, Coach. Like I said, a very entertaining hockey for the most part. The guys are competing. You know, Jake Allen. You know, I can see he struggled the last couple times out, so I can see why they went back with Montembeault, and deservedly so.
0-6-1 in March for Jake Allen.
Yeah. And you look at Montembeault's record; he's over 500. His record is over 500.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one about that one there. By the way, if you want to see a story last night, Gallagher he was sit beside RHP at the bench. He told him to stand up to thank the crowd, and he did not do it. He didn't want to do that. He said we still have one more period to go. But remember, Sarkowski did it as Sarkowski did it.
Yeah.
But RHP did not do it. So funny story. Gallagher was laughing about that.
Yeah. Another cool thing about the game last night, I don't know if you caught this, but Mats Naslund, the Petit Viking, was in the house at the Bell Center too, right? So it was pretty awesome. Martin St. Louis, who I think everybody knows, Mats Naslund was his idol growing up, and it was pretty cool. Martin St. Louis got to take a picture with Mats Naslund. That was probably one of the louder ovations of the whole night. They showed Mats Naslund on the Jumbotron there, and the crowd went nuts.
Absolutely.
Good memories there.
I just want to add about one fact. You know, something that NRK is you do the right things at some time, and people don't pay too much attention. But Montreal winning 8-2. At the end of the game, Cannabis got a penalty. They go play 2 minutes for power play, and they put the 4 line, and they put the player never play on power play. So I think Martin St. Louis respect the opponent team, and I think the Cannabis appreciate the gesture of Martin St. Louis. There's some stuff like that you don't see a lot, but as a hockey fans, I think you see those kind of gesture like that. For me, it need to be mentioned, and the fact that they respect, he was not talking about the 9 goal, but he was just to try to be sure not ridiculous the other team, and I see sometime those other team did it. So I want to mention about Martin St. Louis about that one for sure. We have a few people, Mr. Marco, before we move on. Dixon Automobile Group and Knock the Door. RJ Calabro is in the house, followed by Woody Snyder and Rabinoff. And in our tap, Knock the Door, and Renault, like I mentioned to you. So they are all in the house. Alexandre Mayer, too. Thanks so much, everybody. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Here we go. So if you hear some fireworks, this is the final game of the Soccer Beach tournament this weekend. So you're going to hear some noise at the end. Your dog bark, but me, I have fireworks every night here, Mr. Marco.
Crazy.
What we do with this, Mr. Marco, so that gave Montreal Canadiens, now they are still 28 in the standing in 8 of the Atlantic Division with those 2W they got this week, and then we'll be interested next week too. But who stand out? Because you have some kind of many candidates you can mention tonight this week. It's rare. Usually it's always been 1 or 2, but this week you can have its fun position, defenseman, goaltender, forward, and I would like to curious about what it would be your player of the week, and then same thing for the people in the messenger chat. Let us know who is the standout of your players of the week.
Yeah, you're right. It's a tough one this week, Coach, but I'll go with my man crush. I was so excited to see him come back in the lineup. He makes the game so much more fun to watch. So for me, I'll go with Kirby Dach. Instant, immediate impact when he comes back in that first game. The play that stands out to me is that crazy spinorama pass that he did, I believe, against Boston. Man, he's just so fun to watch. Like, I'm so excited about kind of where he's going with his development. And he's like watching a talented octopus, like he goes into the boards and into the corner with a player for a 50-50 puck battle. And you know how sometimes, like, let's say you see Drouin go into the corner in a 50-50 puck battle, you know how you're 90% sure that he's not going to come out of the corner with the puck? Well, it's the total opposite with Kirby Dach. Like, I'm almost positive that when he goes into the corner, somehow he's going to find a way to come out with the puck, whether it's like just completely dominating someone physically and just taking it away, or using his reach and finding a way to kind of like slither the puck back into himself and then kind of protect it longer. It's just so impressive what he can do. But then you add the size, the vision, the playmaking. It's great. Like, I was just so excited to see him back. And so to me, for sure, that's who stood out. It's just, you could see how big of an impact he had to the team as soon as he joined, right? So
you're absolutely about that. I agree with you. Great comments. I will said to you as different players, and then the people can pick it up in the chat, and they can tell us who stood out the players. But you can start right away with Samuel Montembeault, 2-0-0 during the week. Beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. He beat yesterday Columbus Blue Jacket, an average of 2.00 goal again average. So great performance for him. I think Mike Madison, he stepped up, in my opinion. We have to talk about one at some point, maybe later or tonight at the show. He is considered as the defenseman number 1 for the Montreal Canadiens, because right now he play like a guy could have 60 points and they score maybe 12 goals, 15 goals when if he was play 82 games. So Mike Madison stepped up. And I have to go with Nick Zuski. 4 straight game with 2 points each. That gave him a total of 10 points in the last 4 games. That's not including 5 games. So this gives you an idea. He's right now at 58 points, 59, 2 points behind his total season of 61.
I thought it was at 61 points now. That he reached over 60. Yeah.
No, I think he was 55 before the game. He got 4 last night.
But Do you know who the last player, last Habs to have 2 points in 4 consecutive games?
Um, I've had to think about this recently or a couple years ago.
A couple years ago.
Have to go between Pacioretty or Markov.
No. Alexei Kovalev.
Was that's many years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
really nice.
Yeah, you just get 61 point, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
Zuski.
Yeah.
So you have 2 points. So okay, yeah. So you have 2 points game before if it's 57, and then you got 4 points yesterday. So you reach his total of the of this, and then with his goal, he reached now is the highest number of goal he never been. 23 was 21 before that. So
Yeah.
that's what we got with Nick Zuski for this one with that. We have Mr. Roger Delaney in the house. So welcome aboard, Roger
Hey.
Delaney, to be with us. Thanks to be saying for like a Raph or what they should be saying 1 year. Renault 6.5 the Gallagher is far back. Will Sakoski eventually be able to play the same physical style of Doc?
I hope so.
Would be interesting. Alex Omer, 61 points for him. John Grega is in the house. Skate way better than Sakoski. Over the past game, Sakoski has been productive. He stood out of this deck and the defense. Way said Roger. I agree with you. I agree. So that would be my plus of the my week, Nick Suzuki. Talking about Nick, we'll go to before we talk about RHP. This is really the question we have for everybody in the chat. We have here Glenn Way is in the house. Welcome aboard, Glenn, back here. About that, Anderson Coley, his only week was announced was be out for the remaining of the season for the Montreal Canadiens. Some kind of injury, lower body, and they're going to be not play, nothing, no surgery, but only out. At the same time, the Montreal has signed ALC, Jaden Strobel, and they got Emil Eneman back from the Europe, play with the Laval Rocket. Both of them, they start one Eneman, I think it was Friday, was Wednesday or Friday, and then Strobel played the last game for the Laval Rocket. Not doing well, by the way, the Laval Rocket, they lost. And then Montreal welcome back Gallagher, Evans, Doc, and Jordan Harris. You can see it's one kind of image that Montreal has on the ice right now. At some point, Jesse Allen was sick as on the week. That's the reason he was out. But all four are back in the roster. And the fact like he was removed for the roster, it was Brent Pitlick yesterday, a Chris Whiteman for that organization. And so that's what happened about this. We have a few people in the chat, Mr. that talk about Madison, quarterback for Claude Richard. I have to go with Pitlick. It was to get Marchand out of the shell. Ring Bergeron with the head elbow, get someone face, because came for Evans bidding for I have no idea why. So because has been bending, Bengal is skating, leave much to be desired for Renault about that one with there. And that's what we got so far, Mr. Marco. So let's move on for the next thing. And the big question was this one today. RHP, next contract, we know he's going to have a new offer contract from Montreal Canadiens. And so far, he have 12 goals, 17.29 game. And then he have a twice an average of 17 minutes per game. And then he have a percentage shoot of the net. Goal is 25.5. So this is rare. This is a bit what Nick Suzuki did at the beginning of the season with the Montreal Canadiens. So he's going to drop those. Around all the rookies is the number 9 now with the most goal, but he played a lesser game like anybody else. He have a best goal again average per game for any rookies in NHL, but because he's not going to play after the game at the end, not going to be, but he could have some kind of a vote, number 4, number 5 at some point, so RHP. So, big question today, and for the people in the chat. What would be your offer if you are can use for RHP? Are we are too much excited right away, or we have to be a wait? What would be your answer about that?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Like, I think it has a lot to do with similar to when we talked about Caulfield's extension. I think it's really dependent on the advice that RHP is going to get from his agent. and I know he just changed agencies, right, just recently. So, if I was Montreal, I would try to lock him up for maybe 5 years right now, like maybe kind of like a Braden Hagel kind of contract where you do 3 to 5 years, lock him in at 1.5 or 2 or something like that. See if you can get that kind of value from him. Because like the argument that you would make to his camp is, listen, we really love the end of the season that you have. We think like this is a great opportunity for you to kind of come into our lineup and play an important role at a number that we think is fair, and see what they say. Like if you can get him at that number for 4 to 5 years, then that would be great. If you're Harvey-Pinard's consultants, you're like, you look at this shooting percentage, and you're like, maybe we strike while the iron is hot here, like. Or do we kind of, do a bridge or just a 1-year contract and kind of like bet on yourself, right? So it really depends on whether he wants to bet on himself and what kind of advice he's getting, or is he going to do the safe thing and take the more long-term deal that Montreal would probably be open to doing that. So yeah, I'm with Gary. Like, I would love to even do 3 to 5 years at 1.5. What was Braden Hagel's contract?
Who?
Hagel?
For the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Yeah. When Chicago signed him?
$3 million?
No, it was like really low. It's like 1.5.
Before he signed with the Chicago. Right, I'm sorry. With Chicago, it was a little bit lower about that one. Yeah.
That's why Hagel was that's why Tampa traded all these draft picks for him, right? Because he was signed to a long-term deal at a very low number, like 1.5. I think it was 3 to 5 years.
1.4 maybe.
Yeah. So to me, that's
1.
exactly.
5, it was 1.5. He got this, but at that moment, it was he got a 3 years contract. It was only at 23 years old.
Yeah, which is comparable, right? So again, I'm sure if Montreal wants to tie him up long term, I would even do $2 million. I would be more than comfortable with that. But it's going to really depend on whether RHP wants to really bet on himself. I suspect that he wants to be there, right? Like, and he wants to be a Montreal Canadien more than anything, right? So listen, we're going to need to find little cost savings here and there, like as we become a competitive team. Like we've talked about, we want to model ourselves on the Boston Bruins organization. So we can't afford to make mistakes on these deals. We all love RHP, but you can't pay him $3 million for 5 years or something now. He's just not proven. But I would love to lock him long term. So that's what I would try to do. But it really depends on what RHP's, if he's willing to bet on himself. And if he is, great, then take a year or two. And if you're scoring 20 goals, scoring 50 points, playing top line minutes, killing penalties, doing all that, then yeah, maybe you are worth a $4 million, $3.5 million contract. But are you willing to bet on yourself? That's the question.
Yeah, absolutely. About that, welcome Sébastien. Sébastien, welcome back. Sébastien Fortier. We have a couple of people give you some kind of answer, Mr. Marco. We have RHP bridge at by 3.33, 2 years, $3 million to Gary Cournoyer. Should get a Pitlick at type of deal, great around, but still unproven. So Pitlick got a 2 years at $1.4 million. And after that, $1.75 million for 3 years. And then we have RHP, the new Tyler Bertuzzi. It was quarterly goal plus over multiple seasons soon. And then Claude Shaw, 2 years, $2 million for 3 years. I think expectations for HB are little unrealistic. He's having very good rookie season, but I would need to see him over a full season. RHP 6 year for Glenn at $22 million, so that give him about 3.5 maybe. For that. HP is not a spring chicken. Is Bay is due an American Clay has been cooked properly. Is ready for dinner now. For Renault, HP would be anywhere that's less in play 60 minutes a night. He can be on himself because he's fully developed, is confident on his skill. His 25% shooting percentage is not, it will be Van Smith regress to the main, of course, and Rabinov. I agree with you about that one for sure. For that.
It's an interesting question. Like, if he's willing to go up to 5 years, because let's not forget, like the way the cap is going to go up eventually, right? So, you have to look at what is his number going to be in terms of percentage of the cap now and in the future. That's how I always kind of look at things. So if he's willing to do like 5 years, then I might go up to maybe 2.5 max right now if he's willing to go up to 5 years. And just for the record, people are asking how tall I am in the chat. I'm 6'4". I don't know why
There you
people
go.
don't know. But
I just want to say, just to mention this. Here's one thing you have to remember. Our HP is 24 years old. He just turned 24 last January. So it's going to be 2 years before he become a UFA. That's the rule in NHL, right? And that would complete this. So you have always to be careful. You don't want to have on his side, not for the Montreal Canadiens, play the game where they're going to get another year RFA and then he's going to get extra 1 or 2 years as a UFA for security about that one there. You have nothing to go there. My biggest question before you sign him a contract, do you consider RHB is going to be a top 6 for Montreal Canadiens next season?
I don't think so. I think he can play there for, like we're seeing now. If he needs to play up there for 10 games, I think he can do the job for a period of time. But I think long term, if RHP is in your top 6, you're not a playoff team. That's my unless you have the type, unless you have like a New York Islanders type team where you're rolling 4 balanced lines, which I think is what Montreal might do, right? Like that might be the model that they're kind of looking at, kind of like Carolina Hurricanes, Islanders. Then to me, top 6 isn't as relevant because you're going to have a top 9 that is just rolling all the time, right? Not kind of like a Oilers team or a Leafs team where you're playing your top 6 disproportionately high minutes. So it depends on the structure of your team. So if you're going to play a team that's rolling 4 lines, then maybe, you can play in your top 6. But I don't think he's labeled a top 6 forward in the NHL, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yes, but it all depends how they're going to use him. But at the end of the day, you need to repeat exactly what he just did, right? That's the most important thing for him. He considers what he's doing. So Montreal Canadiens don't want to take that kind of risk for sure for that.
To me, he could be like a Lehkonen kind of guy, right? Like he's going to be like a heart and soul guy that plays the details of the game really well. Maybe he doesn't have the same kind of, like we're seeing that Lehkonen can have really high end finishing skill, and RHP is showing that he can have that finishing skill, right? But like I don't think to the point where it's 25%, shooting percentage, obviously. But to me, he's a comparable to Lehkonen, right? That's the kind of guy. So if you told like 3 years ago or even last year, if you could have had Lehkonen for 5 years at 2.5, I think everybody would be really happy with that.
Yeah, but he will not go there because if he's scoring 30 goals, or 25 goals this year, next season, and next year after that, he become UFA. He's now getting $4 or $5 million per year.
I would be shocked. It's not impossible. Like I really believe in the kid, but I don't see him being a 25, 30 goal scorer. Maybe. Like I would be pleasantly surprised. Like I said, Coach, it really depends on him. Like, does he want to be a Montreal Canadien for the next 5 years? If so, be part of the solution here. Like, be a role player that can jump up and down the lineup. Take a good deal, like 2.5 over 5 years. I think.
Well, but when he's going to turn 30, 31 years old, when he got his next contract, he's now going to get that kind of money back. Yeah. So if you go there, you sign a 3 years contract, and if you can push the envelope at $2 million per year, so I'll give him $6 million right away there. And then after that, he become at 27 a UFA. And he gave 1 year of his contract, doing 25, 26. And here we go. He get 1 year, first year UFA of the Montreal Canadiens. And then after that, he become UFA. That's when you get there. You have the time to prove it. and to show to
Yeah.
the people, and that costs only Montreal $2 million per year. I think that would be fair. They get a 1 year 1 year UFA on their pocket too. So I think $2 million. I think that would be appropriate about that.
We'll see, Coach. Like I said, it really comes down to whether he wants to hold out and hold out and wait to see what he can get. I would
Now
be
they can
surprised, like,
go ahead.
you know, it's a seventh. Don't forget, like, this guy's a seventh round pick, right? Who was delivering pizza for his parents' restaurant. And by the way, nobody's talking about that, right? Like, everybody was talking about how Jacky was working at Costco during COVID. Well, Harvey-Pinard was delivering pizza for his parents' restaurant during COVID too, right? So, comme on dit en français, il vient de loin, là. C'est un choix de septième ronde, seventh round pick. And he's worked his ass off to get where he is. So do you cash in? Do you take the sure bet? Like a 5-year deal at 2 million. And yes, Montreal's buying some years of his free agency, but I don't know. I see that he might buy into something at 2.5. That's what I would push for if I was Montreal.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So RHP get $70,000 play with the Laval Rocket and 825 with the Montreal Canadiens. So I just want to clarify that one over there. His contract finished this season. He can go also. He could go with a RFA contract. That will give him about $1.5 million for 1 year. But I think a bridge 3 years, I think that will be the best one for him for sure. Who is the next AB eliminated to have a straight name after him? I have no clue about this, Renault. I don't see anybody get a name on the street. And Uber Eat at Laval for Alexandre Meyer. So we talk about this. So great subject. It's great subject for RHP so far. And we got a couple of great response for everybody. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like. There'll be so many comments you want to get. Any questions, just ask and we want to answer to you guys. And we thanks everybody to be with us this morning. Nick Suzuki, center number one or not, or you have anything you want to bring about Nick Suzuki?
Yeah, like I've been thinking about this the last couple days. So, and again, I don't pretend that I have all the answers on this, but I just want to have the conversation. I'm curious, kind of what people in the chat will think here. But I guess throughout the year, everybody that's been watching has, not that I've been critical of Suzuki too much, but there are some points of the season where, and when I say this, I'm not talking about his offensive production, but there's been a couple times where I feel he wasn't playing the right way during the season. Coach, you remember at the beginning of the year, him and Caulfield, they weren't playing the right way. They were getting some points and everything. But so I guess my question is, early on in the year when the Habs lost Monahan, then all of a sudden you saw Suzuki, his play went down a little bit. And then, then he kind of settled in when Doc really kind of took a step forward and that line was together. Then he did really well again for a while. When Doc got hurt, then he had this other really long stretch where he wasn't as effective and everything else. And now just recently Doc comes back and then boom, all of a sudden, here we go. Nick Suzuki, like we were talking about, 2 points in his last 4 games, 10 or 11 points in the last 5 games, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's just all about offensive production. I guess I'm curious as to what people think. Like, there's this debate going on Twitter. Like, do people think that Doc is going to be a more, productive center or more overall, like a better overall center than Suzuki in the future? It's an interesting debate. Time will tell. I guess to me, I'm just wondering, like, and it's okay. Like, Nick Suzuki is a good player. He's a great player. He's a star in the league. He's an all-star. Okay, so I'm not taking that away from him. But now that we're going into this draft this summer, Coach, and potentially we're going to have access to hopefully an elite center that we'll be able to get, is Suzuki the kind of player? Because in my opinion, there's 2 types of players, right? There's players, good players, but players that make the players around them much better, right? Like you hear this with superstars, right? Like McDavid and players like that, right? Like they make players around them better. Crosby is like that. But I don't think Nick Suzuki, and it's not that he's not a good player, but I think we've learned that Suzuki is a good player, but he's not necessarily someone who is going to elevate or make everyone around him that much better. Because I guess it's a fair question to ask, like, has his really good play in the last, say, 5-6 games, is it because Harvey-Pinard has, kind of come on and brought all this energy, or is it when Doc came back, he felt a little less pressure? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Like, I think Suzuki is an amazing asset. I think he's going to be a great captain, but I think it's just important for people to, like, is he going to be a point per player game that plays and that would be fine if he is. But I wonder where everybody's kind of like thought is with Suzuki. I don't want people to think that he's going to be a 100-point player one day, right? So I'm curious what people think. Like, do you think he's somebody that makes players around him better, or is he somebody that really needs a strong supporting cast for him to be?
The Montreal Canadiens annonce they signed Sean Farrell, entry-level contract confirmed by the Montreal Canadiens. So we just want to mention, we gave our great hands from LH, just mentioned that one over there. So Sean Farrell signed his contract with the Montreal Canadiens. So live, we got this one over there, 22 years old, Montreal Canadiens draft by the Montreal a couple of years ago. And now we're going to play with Montreal Canadiens. It will be the next thing for them. We know have an amazing, great season with Harvard, and before that with the Chicago Steel. And now we want to have him with the Montreal Canadiens. Sorry about that, Marco.
Oh, no, it's exciting. Did you have that music ready?
Oh, yeah.
That music was awesome. Wow. I thought you were trying to kind of make what I said dramatic. I was like, wow, that's really dramatic. But that's well done, Coach. That's really exciting news. Like, remember I was saying how excited I was to see Doc come back and everything else? That was the other thing I was really excited and hoping for the end of the season, is to see Farrell join the team and see how that's going to play out, right? So very exciting. So yeah, then do we know if he's coming to Montreal for sure, or he's not going to Laval or anything?
Well, we don't know yet. I don't have more information from what we got right now, but Montreal, I think for me, they will keep him in Montreal before they go back to Laval. I would be shocked if they send him in Laval at the beginning, but you never know about that. Next game for me, but it depends, right? You talk about earlier McDavid. You talk about a super elite players, right? That's what they make the people, the super elite players make other people better. Chris Konitz for the Pittsburgh, Pascal Dupuis for the Pittsburgh, play with Crosby. And I think Suzuki is not the kind of player like him. If you want to compare that one with there, you talk about McDavid, but Hyman take advantage of that. Evander Kane take advantage of that, right? I can go all the way like that all the time, right? But at the end of the day, I think Suzuki is going to be barely a 1 point per game. He's going to carry on that one over there at 30 goal possible. It's the next step. They have Martin St-Louis talk about the floor and the ceiling. Can Martin St-Louis, can Suzuki have another step when he's going to play with 82 game with Cole Caulfield and a regular winger on the right or on the left, depends when you want to talk about this, right? And that player, example, is RHP. That line could score that kind of the goal per year, and he can get those points. For me, I think is a bubble player, center number 1 and a center number 2 in NHL. I don't guarantee he's going to get a regular 80 point per year, but he can reach 1 time or 2 times the 80 point. Now, if you consider this with Kirby Dach, we don't know yet what Kirby Dach he can accomplish yet. He's only 22 years old. He still have more years behind, 2 years and a half, I think, behind Nick Suzuki. But I think for me, Nick Suzuki is that kind of player. If he can beat that way, I think that's good enough for Montreal Canadiens. If you have, like you think about McKinnon never scored over 40 goals per year, right? He's always been around 30s. And never beat a guy score many points in the NHL, and one of the point never reached that part. But he make players around. Suzuki, I think for me, is a guy can pass the puck, great vision. If you have a scorer with him, like Caulfield, he take advantage of what the smartest he is at Suzuki. And for me, that's what he is for the Montreal Canadiens. At the end, I think Montreal is set up with Doc and Suzuki. I'll be shocking they try to get under the center. For me,
well, that's what my next question, Coach, is. So rolling up into the draft here, I know you draft by best position, right? Or best player available, but do you really target a center here if you're confident that you have your 1A and your 1B, or your 1A, like, if you're set up down the middle, do you go for Michkov instead of, like Will Smith or somebody like that? Like, what like, does that influence what you're going to do based on kind of what you've seen so far this season?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got the information right there. For in our top, Farrell will pin join the team on his weekend and upcoming trip.
Nice.
So that's good. By the way, he did name Doc and Caulfield look better. McKinnon said he never won anything in 9 years. Willie Snyder. Chris Henson said Zuski has the Koivu problem. He's good, but he was the only good center. Now with Doc is a good competition and the AB benefit plus another center at the draft. They both Nate good winger. About that, Chris. Yeah, it's a great point. You said that. I think they're going to get those kind of winger too, and will be interesting what they're going to do. And you can think about Owen Beck and everything like that. WST said Renault called Zuski a quad Plicanet.
I think it's a little bit more offensive upside there than Plekanec, and I think Plekanec is a way more dependable defensive player than Suzuki. So maybe in overall production, like if you look at Plekanec, he was like money to be a 60-point player. We had like 4 to 5 60-point seasons in a row, Plekanec. So very consistent, but I think a much better two-way player than Suzuki is. I know everybody thinks that Suzuki is a great two-way player. He has the potential to do that, but I think he still has a lot of lapses in his own zone. So potentially, and maybe with a little more offensive upside than Plekanec used to have.
So Plecanet reached his first time 69 point and 4 year in NHL at 25 years old. Then he got 39 the following that, then 70. He never reached 60 point after that.
Oh,
Plecanet.
really?
Yeah.
I thought he had multiple 60-point seasons. Okay, wow.
Well, he have one more like at 32 years old, but he got that 60 point. That's it. So he's always been around 57, 53, 54, something like that.
Okay.
And the most goal he did in one season is 29, 29, and when he got his 69 point at
Yeah, that was
25
the
years
year
old.
where he was playing with Kovalev and Kostitsyn, I think, that year, right?
Yeah. So that's
That's
where I
the
got
year
that.
Montreal finished first. They finished fourth Eastern Conference, I think.
WSC said Farrell is another undersized forward. We cannot have more que a couple if we want to contend.
Yeah, like we've talked about this before, Coach. Like, I'm just not sure what they're going to do with Massar at this point. Like, to me, Massar is somebody that has very much become expendable here. Like, I'm not loving that pick. Like, I know it's soon, but I really don't like the season that he's had in the OHL, and I didn't like his World Juniors that much either, to be honest. So, to me, like, Massar is somebody that I would move out with some of these some of these kind of like smaller, shorter players that are around. Because again, like, Awa's not huge. You've got Farrell, you've got Caulfield already. We'll see what happens at the draft. Like, I love Benson, but he's also really small.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're going to finish fifth. I think we're probably. I get a feeling that Phoenix is maybe going to kind of fall behind us at some point here. We'll see. I hope we finish fifth, but who do you take at 6? Because I think Benson is right there. If Smith is gone, maybe Michkov drops. I don't know, but should be interesting to see. But yeah, it's a lot of small players. You got Slavkovsky, you've got Anderson, you've got Doc, but after that, like, you have some bigger players, but not nearly at that skill level, right? Like, you have like, some later draft picks, like Tuck and players like that. What's his name there? The Finnish guy that we had. So, yeah. So
Yeah, Kuryanov.
yeah, I'm not sold on Gurionov yet. We'll see. He's big, but he doesn't play very big. He's tall. He's not strong. He's a tall guy.
Yeah.
I don't look as big as height necessarily. Like, to me, big is also in muscle mass. Like, you could be 6 foot but weigh like 205 pounds and
How many
be
players
big.
over 6'3" for the Boston Bruins forward?
I would guess at least. So forwards, you mean?
6'3" and
Forwards
more.
out of there. in their top 12, like in their
Yeah.
12 forwards, I'll say 10.
Oh, I know. Marchand is
No,
not. Pasnak is not. Bergeron is not. Krejci is not.
nothing
Zaka
October.
is only one.
Nothing
Taylor Hall is not. Foligno is not.
Over
Um,
6'3". Oh, you said over 6'3"?
yeah.
Oh, over 6'3". Well, no, okay, over 6'3". Yeah, like maybe three, maybe two.
You know what I mean? Like they don't have a
Over.
big, so you don't need like six of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you have two, three of them, that's pretty good. Like you have Doc, Renaud, Sikorsky, Anderson, you can add one more. Um,
But I don't look at people. Oh, I know I keep saying this, but I don't care about height. Height, like I'm a tall guy, but I don't care about height. Maybe for goalies, that's a whole other debate.
yeah,
But
yeah.
to me, it's about size. You know, like if they're over 6, even 5'11", you know, if you're 5'11" and you're 195 pounds, built like a house, I think that's fine. Those are the kinds of players that you want, to be honest. Tall is nice, but it's really about strength.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Rudolph is in the house. Welcome aboard. Don't forget, guys, to click on the likes. Can play can the wing winger can easily transition to the middle. That's right. Plugging it for Gary. I guess Danielson is a center, not a winger. You're absolutely right about this, but he play on both positions. Chris about Danielson. Could Farrell become a trading chip or the part of packaging this summer?
Listen, I think we have too many similar type players. If that's the player that the other team would be targeting, you know,
For on
I
my
think I'm
opinion,
curious.
Farrell is the best winger.
Is Montreal's best winger
Yeah.
ahead of
Better,
Slavkovsky?
better Roy, better Kidney, better Mezar. Yeah,
Okay, in terms of prospects.
yeah.
Okay,
If
you're
you
not
talk about the
including.
prospect, that's what they are. That Farrell
Yeah,
completely in front of them. Whatever Riley cut 100,
yeah,
Roy 100 as a
yeah.
winger, you're going to get an amazing, great winger. You'll be shocking, surprised to see him because that's who he is.
Yeah, it's pretty rare to see. You know, it's a pretty rare breed, right? Like a playmaking winger. You know, like usually wingers are either grinders or power forwards or snipers, right? Like those are kind of the roles that. But it's interesting to have. Like I think of like a Alex Tanguay, right? Very rare to have a playmaking winger. You know, like a Johnny Gaudreau's like that as well. So if he can be a poor man's Johnny Gaudreau, then that's pretty exciting,
He's
right? Because
between, I'll be honest with you, like if you want to similar him, think about Jonathan Marchessault.
Marchessault can score. Like I see him more as a sniper than a playmaker. Farrell
Yeah,
to me seems more like a
but
playmaker.
that's the kind of player he can be in NHL. Like he's going to be, is a cabaret of his size, his ability. Because Johnny Gaudreau is a guy can bank 100 points per. So that's why I was not consider him like a Johnny Gaudreau.
That's what I was saying. A poor man's Johnny
Yeah,
Gaudreau. But
yeah, yeah.
I'm talking in terms of his play style. To me, Marchessault is more of a feisty. He's more feisty than Farrell, I think. Like Farrell, it's not that he's you pas froid aux yeux, but Marchessault is feisty and he's more of a goal scorer. I see Farrell as more of a playmaking winger. If he can score 65 points, he'll score like 15, 18 goals, and all the rest of them will be apples.
Are you
Right?
going
Like
to have
so,
more of them?
yeah. Maybe I think he might be a great fit with Doc, right? Like you throw Doc in there, and then but you need somebody that's going to snipe with him. So I know everybody's used, and coach, this might be a fun topic at some point, but is Caulfield going to really play with Suzuki for the next couple of years, or is he a better complement playing with Doc? That's an interesting question.
It's my answer will be all depend who do you put on the other side because
Yeah,
that plus have to be a guy who check the puck. So they get retrieval the puck for checking guy. Like Audrey Palat. That's what he's doing with when he play with
yeah,
Point Kucherov, right? So that's
yes,
that players right there. That's what is going to be in the
yeah,
mix between Doc and everything like that. Doc is a guy can pick up the puck left and right, protect the puck more as Zuski. So he get a Zuski with Caulfield with someone like Palat, example, that will help him
yeah,
that would be that line
yeah.
over there.
And you can say Harvey-Pinard is that guy. So if Harvey-Pinard can be again a poor man's Andre Palat, if he can be 75% of what Palat does in terms of being that role player on a top line, then maybe, you know, the question of him being in the top six, again, as long as you're relying on a balanced scoring, like if you're going to be hoping that a line of Caulfield, Suzuki, Harvey-Pinard playing them 24 minutes a night, that's not going to work. But if they're playing 20 minutes,
the advantage with RHP is because with Suzuki Caulfield, he drive to the net.
yeah,
So that will help in the complementary is pretty good between all the two others because he go there and he's maybe one of the best for me. He's the best player to protect the puck for the Montreal Canadiens. He can win those battles by the way he uses his body. That's it. We talk about a smart player about his position on the ice when he anticipate and he read the play. That's his maybe the biggest asset he has, RHP, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's right there, but I think Doc is right there too, though. It's between him and Doc are the best on the team for sure, winning puck battles.
Doc, yeah, but I understand because the size I'm talking about, like Montreal, like on each side he has, like because Doc he will win battle for his physicality sometimes because he's a big strong guy and he can get that. RHP cannot do it. So what he use is another way to go around. So his position is really unique about that. Doc is advantage is his range. He's really good on the range about that. So that's a good one of that. We have a great comments in the chat. Mr. Jerry go with 5 years, $2.5 million for Harvey-Pinard. Thanks so much about this. We have Arizona as easy schedule to Montreal and is 2 points ahead of Montreal Canadiens. We need more physical forward for Claude Richard. RHP should sign his bridge saying he has all-star potential. Renault, a 3 years contract, I think will be good. RHP is physical. Not that way, but I think, and I can understand your point of view. Ski close to 200 pounds. Gary Tony, 5'11". Greenway, Doc, and Thompson. Best example, Matt Stanley, 5'6", 200 pounds, all legs, Jerry. The trio of 6'3" players available, Leo Carlson, Matthew Wood, and Kasper Altunen for Finland. About that, you're absolutely right. Strobel is 6'4", 200 solid pounds for Strobel playing Laval. Any player who want to sign with the HABS has to consider they have the best parking and the NHL. All right, so we trade Florida first pick. One Getty signed 6 years at 3.75 average. He scored 30 goals twice. He was underpaid for his play. RG should keep that in mind if he's offered for 6 years old. Would be interesting. Michael James is the house. And Michael DeVillano, welcome back. We need a sign. I don't care if the player is 5'9", 6'3". Just long the talent is there. I can pick the puck in the net. New player that will succeed in the playoffs is a whole new game. Twin Sniper is in the house. Should not be a first-line player on the good NHL team. Tim Snyder. Yeah, possible too. But he delivers what he does right now, so you cannot push him that way. But I can understand your point of view, Twin. He should be a little bit more. Yes.
Yeah, the thing with that coach, like we said, right? Like if you're doing a team that is top heavy, then you can't have he can't play 24 minutes a game like the Oilers, right? Like the Oilers of the Leafs. But if you're playing like the Hurricanes or the Islanders and you're going to spread the minutes out across all the different lines and you're just going to roll line after line after line, then RHP could play on a first line. But that means that you could have a 30-goal scorer on your second line, potentially, right? Because you're going to share power play time and things like that. So he could very well be a first-line player, but not in the traditional sense of the word where he's going to be playing 22, 24 minutes a game.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Nicolas de Gobi-Bono, welcome. Glenn, welcome back. Jerry, welcome. WSC, like I mentioned to you. I got all your information there. Do you think Montreal has the many good players coming that they will have to get rid of the good players?
Listen, like I like the prospect pool that they have, but it's not, it's not the best in the league. Like it's decent. I'm a little nervous about. I think everybody's a little bit nervous about Slafkovsky. They're seeing what Cooley did this year. They're seeing, Nemitz, and they're seeing Jiricek. Makes you think for sure. But like, listen, we haven't given up on Slafkovsky or anything. But like, it's making you a bit nervous. Like, remember Jeff Molson was like, we can't make mistakes at the top end of the pick after referring to what happened with Kotkaniemi. So we'll see. I love Slavkovsky. We'll see how that pans out. But if you look at their depth pool, like it's very strong on the defensive side, very weak in goaltending, and okay at the forward position. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
This draft, like we need to hit coach. Like we cannot make a mistake on this one. Like I hope we finish top 5, but we got to swing for the fences on this one. Like we need to get a high end player. We have a good bank of prospects, but not other than Hudson, which potentially has the ability to be elite, and everybody knows that. But he's a defenseman. Unless you want to play him forward, maybe we play him at forward. Coach, that might not be a crazy idea. Play Hudson at forward. But listen, like our prospect pool at forward is good. It's not the best. It's okay. So let's hope that this year's draft, and who knows, like we've talked about Kent Hughes, we know that he's looking to, if he wants to maybe trade that Florida pick and he can get a good young NHL ready prospect, like a Doc trade, we know that he's willing to do that too. Right. So, So I think they will have to make some moves. Like we're too heavy on defensemen, way too heavy. We have a surplus of assets on the defensive side. We're very, very low on goaltending prospects. And at the forward, we're just okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. WST said RHP winning buck battle. Are you serious? Play at the edge so the play like Caulfield. It's serious you said that, WST, because I checked the underlining number. The RHP has the most winning battle at the puck retrieval and the last 10 games for the Montreal Canadiens. Just give you an idea, the size is not important. If you can pick up the puck, the best players at the winning battle, it was Pavel Tkachuk for the Detroit Red Wings. He was winning to win those battles because he was smart hockey player. And I say RHP is Pavel Tkachuk, but RHP win those battles because he used his stick and his body really well. Exactly. He would go to the corner, he would turn his back right there in the corner. So
he'll go under the guy, like he'll kind of like go under a guy and like and coach, we had this discussion we were talking about Drouin, right? Yes, it has to do something with desire. You need to have the heart to do that. But I think you can teach guys how to do that too, right? It's about technique, about when you go into the boards, don't go over the guy's stick, go under his stick. If you're a smaller guy, put your body under the guy. Like don't try to separate him from the puck because you're not big enough to do that. So you almost have to kind of like slide under him and get under his stick and pull things up. Like I think those are techniques that you can train. If I was Montreal, I would have RHP run drills like that. Show like he should be teaching other players how he positions his stick, and maybe it's also the kind of stick that he uses. Because you brought up Datsuk, coach. Like Datsuk used a paddle. Same thing with Draisaitl, right? Like his hockey stick is thick as hell. Like it was almost like a paddle that you'd use to go canoeing, right? So there's all little tricks like that, how you position your body, but even the equipment that you use that allows you to win those puck battles, right? So I think RHP is right there. I'm not sure if I agree with WST on that at all. Like he's awesome at it.
Yeah, so I have a lot of people in the chat, so we're going to consider what we got here about that one with that. Martin like to reach on his pick. McCarron was just one of them. Looking bad, they should have picked Coley, but Bettman won him on American team. I don't think so. That's true, Renault, about that one because Montreal could select anybody they wanted. Mezal plus Florida pick for the 4th round pick. If Maker is still there, how about for Leo Carlson for Rudolph? I don't think so. Anybody's going to trade the 1st round after that. Mezar and the Fleur pick won't get you in the top 5, not allowed. Pavel's wrist was strong like a goldie ore. That's why he won this battle. About that was what's up with Hoffman? He had quit a good year. Glenn, almost 1 year later, do you still think Slavkovsky over Wright?
Yeah. For me, it was between Slavkovsky or Yurchek. Those are my 2 top picks. I still think Yurchek is going to be awesome. So for me, if there would be somebody that I would circle back on, it would either be Yurchek or Cooley. But I think Wright's going to be a good player, but I don't think we need him as much as
It
Yurchek.
all depends. Jiricek could be a Kadri Miller and NHL, or he could be a guy can score a little bit more goal at Kadri Miller, but that's a prototype of player you can get with for Jiricek for sure. Paul Vincent, thanks so much for welcome aboard. Paul Vincent, thanks to be with us. You had a lot of great comments, so we can pick up everything one by one, but we try to get the best we can. Mazar is the first one to get your friend, and my first Olympic move was under the stick left, under the stick left. Steve G is in the house. Welcome. Willie is there too. Sarkowski is great. We just give him the time to a bit longer and wait for him to develop.
I don't want to see people that I know. He's great. I think he's going to be good, but he's making me a bit nervous. For sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Before we finish, we want to bring you here because we have Montreal is going to play. I just want to give you a bit more information about the prospect for the Montreal Canadiens because we have a few news. First of all, Farrell eliminate. We just got his entry-level contract, so it was confirmed. Hudson, Final Four. Boston beat yesterday Cornell by the score 2-1. He's going to be on the Final Four in Tampa, April 6, 7, 8 with Talk. Luke Talk. Last week, Roy, the last two games, 7 points. Kidney, 5 points. And my underrated defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens for the future, don't forget his name, Adam Angstrom. Play right now, he just eliminated the team at Emil Heinemann. He played on the top pairing in that league right now. He played about 22 minutes, 20 minutes. It's just an amazing, great story about Angstrom. Talk about the home run with Hudson. It could be another home run, at least a double and maybe a triple with Armstrong. Was 95 or 98 for the Montreal Canadiens. Have an amazing, great. It was an amazing, great year.
Another left-handed defenseman.
Another left defenseman, but you can get something in return. Rudolph said, I made a mistake. Mezar plus the AB first round pick to move up for Mishkov. Yes, for Carlson, no. You will not do this. That would cost you. If I'm Anaheim right now, or number 3 in Chicago, right? Yeah. Chicago number 3. If you want to get my pick, I will ask you, Caden Cooley, your first round pick, and that's it. Logan Mailloux, or maybe not. I will Caden Cooley, and I will say, Caden Cooley, and give me your first round pick.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I think if I'm them, I would say Cooley, your first pick, and Massar, or maybe even
or maybe another one too. But that minimum right there, Rudolph. About that, RHP is not afraid to go to the net, like announcer said last night. He's on sick, then go there. Sarkowski probably one sick in the NHL. Renault. I don't think so. Really? I don't think so. You miss spelling Sarkowski. Sarkowski is going to be good in NHL.
Yeah.
All right,
for sure.
He's going to be a great hockey player, a top 6 in NHL for many years. He's going to get his 25 goals per year, and he's going to get maybe a 60 point per year. Can he become the Mika Rantanen? We don't know. But that's the type of player he can be in NHL easily, Sarkowski. Just give him time. Jack Hughes, he had 7 goals the first year in NHL. So we have to be a little bit more patient about Sarkowski for sure. And next week, Mr. We just talked about the Montreal Canadiens. So the last part. They play Monday, Buffalo, possible W. Tuesday, Philadelphia. This is the game where there is the most important game for the Montreal Canadiens for the ranking. And then the Thursday, the Florida Panthers. And then finally, Saturday for Carolina Hurricane. Possibly they can be a 2-2 or 3 or 1-3 at the end of the weeks. Hopefully they're going to be only 1-3. Hopefully Buffalo are going to beat Montreal Canadiens. Now the good news for Montreal, they play back-to-back games. So when they're going to show up at the Flyers, they're going to be like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and the Flyers will be at home, wait for them to play. And that would be the only good news for the Montreal Canadiens, again, that game, because they can beat Buffalo, but they cannot beat Flyers. If at one game they cannot win any of the game this week, it's again the Flyers. Unfortunately for them, the Flyers won yesterday.
Yeah, you want to beat Florida, though, right? Like, so
it's not matter for Florida, because Florida right now is going to be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and they're not going to be, Pittsburgh won yesterday. Islanders lost yesterday. Islanders play another big team tonight. I think it's Carolina or something like that. So on Sunday, they are not sure. But the Florida Panthers have a very difficult schedule too. They're on the road this week, so it will be interesting to follow that one for sure.
Wouldn't count them out yet, Coach. They play hard. Like, it's hard. They have a tough schedule, but if you watch those Florida games, like they find ways to come back all the time. Like they're still making
the last two games, so there's a plus for Montreal Canadiens for sure. The problem is other things. Philly is 4 points ahead of Montreal with the game in hands. Why such a big game, coach? Not really a threat. As because if you lose right there in our top, that give not only 2 points the Flyers in front of Montreal Canadiens, and that's not good enough for that one there. Because if they won Buffalo Monday night, now they won't be equal. It will be square together, and that's the problem you get on that one. So for me, the Flyers are not going to win a lot of games at the end of the year anyway. And Montreal have a little bit easier schedule, honestly, for the rest of the season. So that's what we got today. What are you looking for the rest of the week for the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, I think the funnest part of the schedule is going to be, we're going to be obviously pre-scouting Carter Hart, maybe our goaltender of the future, right? Playing against Philadelphia. Coach, I know you're 100% behind the idea of trading many assets to get Carter Hart. I know that.
Yep.
I think that was your idea, right? So I think that's probably a good idea. So yeah, we'll do some pre-scouting. We'll watch Carter Hart and see how our goalie for 2023-2024 is going to play against us.
I will not trade for any goalie in NHL if I'm Montreal Canadiens.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. Oh,
no,
okay.
You're going to go for a UFA and you're going to go with a draft pick. But I would not trade anybody for the cost of this will be too expensive for the Montreal Canadiens.
I know. You've made yourself very clear on that point, but I keep bringing it back because I don't.
Oh yeah, that's fine about that for sure. Montreal Levitt might be in the pipe for maybe Devin Levi for Montreal is going to play again. Montreal Canadiens Monday night will be interesting about that. So we're going to be another great way for Montreal Canadiens. We'll be back next Sunday, maybe recording, maybe live stream. We'll be see. We want to thank everybody in the chat to be with us. But forget everybody, we'll be back at 9 o'clock tonight with Mr. Enarta for the Ab Nation Live Tonight Show. We invite everybody to join us tonight. We're going to go a little bit more deeper about the Montreal Canadiens and all around the league. A couple of news about where we at the wild card, because this is wild, the card right now, and the NHL both conference. Winnipeg lost again, and Calgary found a way to get a W, and then Nashville lost, but they still have possibility to play Toronto today. And a lot of things happening about that. A 3 years contract, Mr. Confirmed by RJ, signed by Sean Farrell, and he's going to be a part of the trip for the Montreal Canadiens this week.
It's fun when we get breaking news on HABS Brunch, Coach. I think it's happened to us a couple times. There's news that came out right after the show, so it was great to get break. And I love that music. Like, let's use that music. Anytime I say something, you come in with that music just to give it really a good dramatic.
The good news, Mr. Marco, is the people in the chat make the show better because they bring the breaking news. They talk about everything, and we can follow up everything. So great people in the chat today. 35 likes, so that's a very good morning. So thanks so much, Marco, for to be with us this morning. We can wait to see you next time, and next week we'll be back next Sunday at 11 o'clock until the next time. But don't forget, please, to click on the like, subscribe to our Canadian show, and of course, leave us a comment. An amazing, great week, Mr. Marco.
Merci tout le monde. Bye.